We're talking once again with Ted Sevransky, professional sports bettor out in Vegas, and we're talking about the Sunday divisional playoff games in the NFL, and one of the more intriguing matchups, and we've already spoke about it on other videos, is Seattle Seahawks at the Carolina Panthers. These are two teams that faced each other in Week 6, and a lot of things have happened since then, and these could be two of the most talented teams squaring off. And Ted, first of all, good to have you back with us as the weekend is nearing and the kickoff time is coming closer. Any final thoughts on this matchup between Seattle and the Panthers, and anything that might have swayed your opinion one way or the other since I last talked with you?
Yeah, and it's funny because there are 3 rematches of regular season meetings in the 4 games this weekend. And 2 of the 3 rematches, I say throw out the first meeting. Green Bay, Arizona, throw it out. The Packers were awful that day. I don't expect the Packers to be as awful this week. In terms of their protection schemes, they couldn't get it done. In my mind, that game, you throw it out. It has very little relevance to what we're likely to see here. Pittsburgh, Denver, the first meeting. Let's see. That was a game played on a different field with different starting quarterbacks, and it's a very different flow to that game than what I'm expecting we'll see on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
This matchup, however, the first meeting between these two teams, Seattle, in theory, they were in control in the game. I mean, Carolina missed a fair few chances. Fourth quarter of that game, Panthers rally from behind on the road in Seattle, back-to-back 80-yard touchdown drives for the win. And in my mind, of the 3 games that we saw, that are rematches, this is the one that probably has the most relevance when we look at the regular season meeting, because Carolina gained a measure of confidence in that win. They really did. And when we're talking about Seattle's pass defense, which has been so good in recent seasons and showed some vulnerability this season, if game on the line in the fourth quarter here, Carolina's going to have confidence they can move the ball down the field against this stop unit. They have to, because they've done it before. So from a psychological standpoint and a matchup standpoint, there's certainly some things that favor Carolina here. Of course, it's not easy to step in front of the Seahawks. We know how good this team has been. They've been the best team in the NFL for the last 3 years. They're back-to-back NFC champs. They've been moneymakers on the road this year, last year, the year before. And from a strength of schedule standpoint, let's be honest, Carolina didn't face the toughest slate of opponents this year. That's why, at least part of the reason why they went 15-1 instead of 11-5 or something like that, was a steady diet of weak opponents from a relatively weak division. That being said, I could go on and on here, but certainly when we look at the quotes coming out of that Panthers locker room this week, this is a team with something to prove, and the Seahawks, they've already proven it.
I'll tell you what, though, Ted, and I not just the comments coming out of the locker room, because there's a lot of talking going on. Wait till that game gets started, but before that Week 6 victory, when the Panthers had that great comeback in Seattle, all right, the Seahawks had won the previous 5, and I'm a believer, and there's something to be said about when you play each other on a yearly basis, you know each other, and I think these two teams know each other quite well. And yes, Carolina has stepped up in many, many, many categories, but what I'm wondering, okay, is Seattle playoff savvy enough just to go in there and maybe even not run away with this thing, but not kind of have it as close as it could be? Do you see any way where Seattle could kind of walk away with this thing?
I mean, they could. We haven't seen a whole lot of blowout wins against the Panthers this year. And when you talk about all the recent success that Seattle has had against Carolina, you talked about it, how they had won each of the previous 6 meetings. They've all been since 2010, so we're not talking ancient history. But a lot of those games, in fact, 3 regular season meetings in 2012, 2013, 2014, all 3 of those games literally came down to one play. And all 3 of those Seattle came away with tight wins. It was a goal line stand. There was a late game fumble. All of them victories by a single score, much like Carolina's win over Seattle this year. Tight game, down to the wire, won by a single score. I would be surprised if either of these two teams runs away with it. I'm expecting a competitive game. So are the betting markets. This is the only one of the 4 games this weekend that's priced as being a very competitive contest.
Yeah, I myself, I think Seattle's capable of winning it and covering. Obviously, I mean, just an outright win. But I think Carolina, they just took some strides this year, and I kept waiting for them to fall back, Ted. I kept waiting for Cam Newton just to pull something to where he just does something stupid, tries to carry the team, and next thing you know, they go on a little downslide for a minute. But it just hasn't happened, and I think that's because of coaching. And, you know, you got to love that defense with Luke Kuechly back there. That guy is absolutely a beast. So, again, that's why they play it. This is going to be one of the more interesting games, and as a fan, I'm looking forward to kicking back and enjoying it. Now, as a sports gambler, which I am, I'd probably be leaning towards the over. That's just me personally, but that's, again, why they play it. So, Ted, thanks so much for being back with us, and we look forward to having you back again and breaking down some more games for next week.
I look forward to it.